Well, good morning, everyone. We are again once back again, and look, it's draft for all of us. Whether you're at 2 drafts, 4 or 8 drafts, we're here to really be able to go through some of your drafts because all of us are in the middle of our draft. So, good morning, Jed over in Illinois and Jimmy over in Phoenix.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Jed.
Yeah,
Morning,
Jim, we were just talking about our 12-person draft yesterday. Who were you? And I think a lot of times for all of us, a 12 is probably a little rare. The standard is usually 10. I'm actually doing an 8-person draft on Saturday night, which I'm saying this should be very, very easy to do an 8-person draft. And this is with my wife's family. So I said this should be pretty easy. But a 12-person draft, who were you expect to get, and how did you do, Jim?
On the 12-person draft, I was number 10, same as last time. Jed, I, of course, ended up taking the 2 running backs. Because really, at the end of the day, I was like, you're really left with a bunch of receivers. And I just decided to start off with Joe Mixon and then also with Aaron Jones. So that's what I did. I was debating between Aaron Jones and DeAndre Swift, but I ended up with Aaron Jones.
It's funny, I got Aaron Jones. So I had my 12-man at work yesterday, and I got Aaron Jones second as well. And yeah, basically, I feel like now with 12-mans, what I figured out is, to me, when you get to the 3rd and 4th rounds, there's still depth at wide receiver, but not at running back. So I do feel like, I remember I said to everyone that I don't like taking Justin Jefferson in the first 4 to 5 picks. Mm-hmm. I still stand by that because I think right around 5 you can start thinking about it. 5, 6, and 7 you can think about it, but otherwise your number 2 running back is going to be really weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jed, you ended up with Keenan Allen in your 12-person draft, right?
In which one?
Yesterday's draft. No, not with Keenan Allen, with
Austin Eckler. You got Austin Eckler.
Yes, yeah. Last night I got Austin Eckler, which was the first time I've drafted him. I'm excited for that though, because it's a half point, so it's not a pure PPR, but it's a half point per reception. So I feel like Austin Eckler is going to be pretty good. We'll see. I mean, I'm glad to be hooked up to the Chargers.
Okay, now why Austin Eckler and not Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook?
So Cook was available this was at 5. I thought about it. I really did. Oh, did you guys know? So here's the other thing. We drafted in Yahoo. My draft yesterday was in ESPN. Yeah. I was surprised at how different the rankings were. The rankings were quite different. So Dalvin Cook, for example, in ESPN was like a 9 or 10.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And so it was interesting. I noticed there were and then quarterbacks, for example, there were pretty different selections. Most places I've seen Joe Burrow as a top 5. I got Joe Burrow in round 8 because he was pretty low on their list.
Me too. Yeah. I will say that the thing about Dalvin Cook, because he's never finished a 16 or 17 game season, that's the very reason why I don't know if I would want to pick him up, because you're not sure how many games he's going to be out during the season.
Yeah. I know I had the 6th pick, and it really came down to either Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook. And so a lot of times I just ended up picking more of a sure thing in Dalvin Cook. Later on, I picked up Alexander Madison. Now, here's my dilemma later on in the 2nd round. Now I have the 6th pick in the 12 league. It comes around, and I see James Conner and CeeDee Lamb. Who would you guys have picked?
CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
CeeDee Lamb. Got it. Yeah. I think you were kind of forced to go into CeeDee Lamb because he was the best available player on the board. And I think you would have been kicking yourself if you didn't pick him. But in some ways, I mean, I wish that there were a couple better receivers that were out there before CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb's the better pick.
That's not a bad pick at all, though. If you have CeeDee Lamb and Dalvin Cook, that's a great 1-2 to start with.
But I went in thinking for a 12-team league, running back, wide receiver. I actually ended up going running back, wide receiver, and then zipping around to tight end. Jimmy and I were talking about right before that. Then later on, I needed a second running back. I actually ended up picking A.J. Dillon over Pierce. The reason being a couple of things. Pierce at the same time is still in the Lovie Smith offense. He's still a rookie, so he eventually hits a rookie wall. AJ Dillon, where I come in, is I think a lot of times Aaron Jones is going to be your pass catcher because they're going to need a wide receiver. He's a great pass catcher. Suddenly, though, you still need someone in the goal line and someone that Aaron Rodgers trusts, hence AJ Dillon.
So Tommy yesterday, Jed, was similar to how you were saying you were on a work call. He was doing a work call as well too, right? And so when I saw that he picked AJ Dillon instead of Dameon Pierce, I was like, what is going on there? Is he distracted? And too bad. I wish I was the person right after that, you know? So.
Yeah, I like Dameon Pierce better just simply because there's more guaranteed touches with AJ Dillon. He is splitting with Aaron Jones, but it's a little bit more of a wild card, but there's probably a little more upside, like you said, Tommy, because AJ Dillon, will get the goal line carries. If Green Bay can keep that offense, if Aaron Rodgers keeps that offense going, there'll be a lot of points to be had, and so it could work out for you.
I do expect AJ Dillon, especially with his legs, to get the goal line touches. Pierce, I love because there really is no one after Pierce. He is your primary running back. Lovie Smith, a lot of times, as much as we say, Davis Mills, who knows how well he's going to do? Brandon Cooks is a wide receiver, so you're going to get the touches. How well he'll do it, I don't know. I still remember, I think you guys will remember, when Lovie Smith was the head coach of the Bears, he ran Anthony Thomas all day. I see Pierce like similar to Anthony Thomas, but at the same time, man, Dillon, when what do you call it? Jones was out. Dillon did so well back in the days.
Well, there's a lot of rumors that the Packers have gotten a ton of offers for Dillon.
Yeah,
they're trying to pry him away. So if he did get traded somewhere too, that could be another good thing for him.
So I was also surprised. ETN was still available for me on the board. I did draft 2 quarterbacks again, so I took a flyer and a chance on Trey Lance. And then I also been picking up Ayuk because I'm hoping that being his 3rd year, he's going to have a good year. Usually some of these stud wide receivers, in their 3rd year, they come out. So I'm taking a chance on Ayuk.
Did you guys see that San Francisco dropped Trey Sermon, but then Philadelphia picked him up? Yeah.
I've been watching him, right? Because I actually think he's pretty good, but the San Francisco coaches do not like him. And so here's the thing. Miles Sanders is not doing too well. You got Gainwell Scott, who historically the last couple seasons when they've had the ball, they haven't done too well. So I'm hoping this might be a Trey Sermon thing,
Yeah, exactly. And then Sony Michel is the other interesting one. In my league, I couldn't believe this. Michel went in the 3rd round, even though he's the backup, in with the Chargers. So that was surprising.
Yeah.
Sony Michel went in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was like,
they're not paying attention.
Yeah, I guess not. I was like, that's insane. Because he's a backup.
Hey, Tom, keep on talking. I'm going to grab a charger. I'll be right back.
Okay, got it. Hey, Ramondre Stevenson was another guy that fell into me. I do have hopes with Ramondre Stevenson. I know there's Damian Harris, but it looks like, all reports are they may probably give him the bulk of the carry. So, look, in his starts, he did really well last year, Jed. I do have high hopes for Ramondre Stevenson as my 3rd running back.
Yeah, New England is always tricky when it comes to the skill players. Belichick is so good at hiding what he's going to do that as fantasy players, we have a hard time figuring out where the points will go. But I like Stevenson just for his, potential. In going into his 2nd year, and plus he's an OU guy, so I like him too.
Now, with my last pick, a lot of times you probably won't even get there, especially if you're a 10-team league. I went ahead and pick up Amir Abdullah just because a lot of times Josh Jacobs is just not doing well in Las Vegas. Amir Abdullah is his backup, so a lot of times it's just picking him up and seeing where he goes with it.
Yeah, Las Vegas is another interesting one. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Rumors have it that they're supposed to trade, or they want to trade Josh Jacobs just because I don't think he fits into the offense.
Wow, that's really interesting. I got right before the 2nd to last round, I got George Pickens in this one. So I was very, very happy with
It's always nice when you can go towards the later rounds and George Pickens is sitting there.
Yep.
But have you noticed that Chase Claypool isn't being picked up a lot in a lot of these drafts until really, really late too?
Yeah.
No, Jed, it's always nice when you play with people who aren't updated on the news and you start grabbing all the sleepers that no one's paying attention to.
You know who dropped in our league too pretty far was Antonio Gibson. Let's see. I want to see. I
Oh
want
yeah.
to say he might have went in the third
But
round.
it's because of Robinson. But now that Robinson is out for an extended time,
Yeah.
I have been seeing that people are coming back to Gibson because there's no other options, right?
Yeah.
You got maybe McKinnon, who, but I don't think he's your number one guy, right? Yeah.
But the only problem with Antonio Gibson, which in some sense will get him bench, is the fact that he fumbles. And the very, very fact that he fumbles will not get him on the field.
Yeah.
He was so good his rookie year, though.
I actually it was between Antonio. I could have gotten Antonio Gibson when I got Damian Pierce. He dropped that far.
Yeah.
But
I like him. Jim, who was your quarterback?
I got Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow and Trey Lance are the two people I decided to go after.
Did you not want to reach for what do you call it, the guy out of Buffalo?
By the time it got to me, someone had already grabbed him. And so I was like, maybe I'll go after Justin Herbert. But there were a couple who was sitting out there that I really who I just wanted.
Jalen Hurts.
I ended up getting, so here's the thing. In front of me was Deontay Johnson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Travis Etienne. So there were some really good players. And I was like, I could get Joe Burrow or some of these other players later on. I almost got Lamar Jackson. But someone took him the pick before me.
Yeah. Literally, I think Josh Allen, would you have picked him in the third round? Because he was picked 2 spots before you.
Yeah, I would do it. I would have done it. Yeah. If he was sitting there, I was ready. I had him in my queue. I don't know about you, but right as it's coming around me, I put a queue, and that's the person I'm going to pick. But then when the queue is gone, when the player's off my queue, I'm scrambling trying to figure out who my pick should be.
So in my league, I waited until I always wait until try to go 5th or 6th round. Yeah. And then what happened was in the 6th round, there was a run. So then, the second pick of the 6th round, Lamar Jackson went, then 2 picks later, Jalen Hurts, then Kyler Murray. So then I was sitting there looking at Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson, but Cortland Sutton was available. So so I took Cortland Sutton.
You can't pass up Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
No. I'll tell you this. So Tommy picked up Russell Wilson before I picked up Joe Burrow. And Russell Wilson was the person I was really targeting. He was up on my queue, ready for me to take, and then he took him.
Yeah, that's a tough one between Russell Wilson and Joe Burrow. That's a tough call.
Yeah.
Hey, I was very surprised. One of the highest quarterback that was picked in was Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson has not been getting very much love. He was still sitting there. Russell Wilson was still sitting there. So someone picked up Aaron Rodgers. Here's the one that I struggled with. I ended up, and I was still debating. I ended up picking Kyle Pitts ahead of Cam Akers, Cortland Sutton, and Travis Etienne. So suddenly now I was sitting there, should I pick up a tight end? I have a great stud tight end, but at the expense of a Cam Akers.
No, I would. I'm not 100% sold on Akers. I still think Henderson at the end of the day is going to see some good run. I'm not entirely sure Akers is going to last the entire season.
Man, I like Kyle Pitts. I could not get him in both drafts, though. He went right before. So in this one, he went in round 4, 3 picks before I got Michael Pittman. And Travis Etienne was right there, too. So it was a tough call. But I like Pitts a lot, as you guys know. I love locking in. I love with the tight end position. It's kind of, it's like the quarterback position. Once you get it locked in, you can just leave it there and not touch it.
Totally. Right. Yeah. My guess is he's going to end up getting 8 to 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen at Drake London, right? The only other player that has the offensive capabilities will be Cordell Patterson, but Cordell Patterson isn't a Kyle Pitts.
Hey, what do you guys think of Eli Mitchell?
Oh, I don't really trust those San Francisco running backs, so I've always stayed away from them.
Yeah, same. I have not been drafting him. I want to see where he went, but I haven't.
The only concern I have, look, they've gotten rid of Trey Sermon. They've gotten rid of Mostert, all that other stuff. He is been positioned to be your primary running back. But again, he has a soft tissue injury.
Yeah, he went in round 6, so that's pretty far down. But I mean, you're right. I love the San Francisco scheme, so there's going to be points there for the running back, but it's just, can you get the consistency?
Yeah. Grim, is that you?
Yeah.
Your
Oh,
coffee's
okay.
ready.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's go through a couple of news and notes as well, too. Jay, I'll start with you. Deebo Samuel misses practice on Thursday. A lot of times it's, hey, look, at the end of the day, he does get nicked up. Last year, he was great. 2 years ago, he was constantly injured. Jimmy says that he picked up Brandon Ayuk going in his 3rd year. How high are you on Brandon Ayuk?
I like that. I think that's a really smart move. I do think people are going to be disappointed in Debo this year. Not because he won't perform. I just don't think he's going to get the rushing carries that he got last year, which really boosted him up the second half of the season. So I think you will be disappointed. And I think Ayuk is a great flyer. Like, if you're picking him up in those late rounds, he could really pay out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jameson Williams, unless you have a keeper, are you still picking up in the 10-team league?
Yeah, I am. I mean, part of it is I'm not only if they have an IR spot, right? If they have an IR spot, I don't mind stashing him. And so that's what I've been doing. If there is none, I'm not wasting a spot. But I actually think that Jameson, actually, it's funny. I was looking at in all of the boards, and I know that Deshaun Watson, some people don't want to pick him up from a personal standpoint, but he's been out there. Jameson's been out there. And so if I have an IR spot sitting down there, I don't mind throwing one of those 2 players on there.
Oh, you threw Deshaun Watson on there? That's horrible.
No,
man.
I end up taking Jameson only because I was like, I've been picking up 2 quarterbacks in all of my leagues. I don't need another 3rd quarterback sitting on my IR spots.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Jed, speaking of Brian Robinson, he has now been placed on the reserve non-football injury list, so he will be out at least guaranteed 4 weeks. I mean, Antonio Gibson, he looks a little bit more attractive besides his fumbles here and there.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? A lot of times too, think about this, like, someone like an Antonio Gibson gets all the carries now. You have them get out of the gate strong, have a good first couple games, and then get them ready to trade, right? Like, there's all these players who be thinking about trading. Usually most of the trades are happening in the first 2-3 weeks. I saw you guys already made a trade in our other league. So, usually those first 2-3 weeks, people are ready, and you got to be thinking about it that way too.
Hey, speaking of trade, Jimmy does love his Gabe Davis a lot. I see a lot of the trade offers for Gabe Davis. Why is that? Because Stephon Diggs is right in front of him.
I don't know. And maybe it's gut instinct. I remember last year, my gut instinct told me Cooper Kupp, even though in most offenses he was second to Robert Woods, he's the person to target, right? So that's what I thought about this year with Gabe Davis. I was like, I know he's a second person, but I think he's got that much potential. So I decided I needed a wide receiver, so I traded. I know Tommy will take Pierce for a trade, so I just traded Davis for Pierce. So, yeah.
Hey, Jen, let me talk to you a little bit. And Kenyon Drake signs with the Ravens on Wednesday. A lot of times it says more about J.K. Dobbins probably not being ready. There was a video showed on ESPN a couple of days ago when he went through drills. After the drill, he was limping and his legs just still isn't there. For you, a lot of times, if you were looking for an additional running back, is it Kenyon Drake or is it Mike Davis over at Baltimore?
I still think it's Mike Davis, because even Kenyon Drake will still be more like that third down kind of back. So I still think Mike Davis, but just be careful. I mean, the Ravens, we all know the Ravens rushing game is Lamar Jackson. It's not the running back. Yeah. So I don't know that you're going to get a ton of production there. Yeah.
Jim, Miles Sanders is still not practicing. He's been injured now for the last few weeks with the hamstring injury. Is Kenneth Gainwell even on your radar?
Maybe, but it does make me relook at Trey Sermon. So yesterday I was going through all the waivers after our draft. And usually, I think we talked about this last year, at the end of the season, it's a number of running backs on the waiver wire that's going to end up winning for you. And so I was going through the waiver wire and thinking, which running back this year is going to be the one that at the end of the season is actually going to make a difference? And I actually think that Trey Sermon's one of them.
Yeah. Jed, Rondale Moore, Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury told reporters that Rondale Moore will probably play week 1. with DeAndre Hopkins gone, you definitely are not playing AJ Green as your primary receiver. Does Rondale Moore become your primary receiver then?
Yeah, no, he's a great pickup, and you should be able to get him really, really late. I got him in like I think round 12 or 13 in one league, and yeah, I'm expecting he's going to be heavily targeted. With Hop being gone now, and with AJ Green, there is not going to be the solution.
So Jed, the only so I'll say this with a caveat. I think Rondale Moore is going to be pretty good, right, until Hopkins comes back. But all the local people, the story on Rondale Moore here has been there's an undisclosed injury that he's going through that the Cardinals has not talked about, and they're trying to figure out what it is, right? So that's why whenever he's on the board, I was like, these local guys might know something that we don't know. So I've just kind of somebody else. Yeah,
they definitely do. That's why when you have local information, that's exactly what you need. So no, I think that's really important to look at. I was just thinking, who I'm trying to think of other when you guys are saying like players you want to stash for the second half. Who I'm interested in is and this jogged my memory just because Josh Gordon got picked up again. So he got dropped by Kansas City. He got picked up again. But OBJ, nobody has picked up OBJ. He's sitting there. I guarantee you somebody's going to pick him up in the second half. So some team can use him for the championship run. So that's an interesting one. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, let me ask you a quick question. New York Giants, a lot of times, Kadarius Toney is still not practicing. Kenny Galladay had surgery, and he's still not there, and we have no hopes at all for Kenny Galladay. Is it Sterling Shepard, or is it a Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton? Wan'Dale Robinson being their rookie. Do you like anyone you should forget New York Giants to just avoid that?
No. I mean, I think we always talk about teams you stay away from. I think Giants are one of those teams right now. Yeah. But you never know about Toney. If he comes back, he's actually not that bad.
Yeah. Jet, last one before we talk about tight ends as well, too. Josh Gordon signs on the practice squad. What do you think about Josh Gordon? Because I know in the past you liked him a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, I love Josh Gordon. I'm not picking him up at this point, but I'm watching. I want to see. The main thing with Gordon is speed. Did you guys see that they showed Terrell Owens running the 40?
Yes.
At whatever age 43, he could still run the 40 in like fast. It was like 4.5 or something. I was like, and that's the thing. Josh Gordon has crazy elite speed. So no matter how old he's getting, teams still need that. So I'm definitely paying attention to see if he catches on. I just always been one of his fans and hope that he does well.
With that said, we're going to talk about tight ends and running back. But before that, let's take a break from football a little bit and talk basketball. What did you think of the Donovan Mitchell trade?
I thought I was disappointed it wasn't New York. It would have been super interesting to see Donovan Mitchell with Randall and with Barrett up in New York. I think that could have been a serious contender in the East if they had made that trade. I don't know why New York couldn't pull it off. But in Cleveland, to me, it doesn't change anything. Cleveland's interesting. They definitely have a couple pieces there. You got to see what they're going to do with Colin Sexton, what's going to happen. But it's definitely not as intriguing as New York.
But they got a good lineup, those guys. Cleveland, if you look at their potential lineup, they've got a really good lineup.
Yep. Yeah, he instantly does give them. I would say they probably jump into the top half of the East.
Yeah. According to ESPN, I was sitting there reading it late last night. Utah was so mad at the New York Knicks. They never even went back. Once they got the offer from Cleveland, they did not go back to New York and ask for a final offer to better it. And they were mad because they wanted they offered a bunch of protected draft picks, and they would not offer Quentin Grimes. I'm not sure who Quentin Grimes is. And so it really came down to that. And so Utah says, forget it. So they went with the Cleveland drafts and all of their draft picks and never even went back to New York for one final offer.
Yeah, we'll see. For Donovan Mitchell, though, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if this is a better situation for him. He is a true superstar. The guy, if you ever got to watch him, unbelievable player. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be another one for Chicago to deal with.
Yeah.
Grimes
is
Utah. Yeah, now Utah has additional 13 draft picks here. in the next few years. That's crazy. And let's see how well they do with that.
Well, the team to look at. So Oklahoma City has been stacking draft picks, right, for a long time. Now with Chet Holmgren, their number 2 pick, out for the year, there's a chance like they could get another high draft pick. So that team, you just give them a couple years, and I tell you, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, suddenly you are now like the Philadelphia 76ers, which was always just sitting there stocking up draft picks. But then at the same time, they did get Embiid, but then they whiffed on
Nerlens, Ben Simmons. And then
Jimmy
there was
Butler
one
they messed up.
Oh, Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, no, you have, but I just feel like if you look at the draft history in Oklahoma City, I mean, come on, they have been pretty impressive on that side. So I feel like, it'll pay out there.
But think about Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is in charge of the Utah Jazz, and look how he built Boston, right? They did sign Kyrie, but Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, it was all the draft. So my guess is they're doing the same thing in Philadelphia, in Utah.
Now, let me ask you guys a quick question is, if you were a general manager of an NBA team, would you like to be like Danny Ainge and sit there and stock out draft picks? Like, I would love doing that. Or would you like to be like the Lakers putting super teams together?
Oh, no, I'd much rather do the draft pick and kind of build your team that way.
It's also cheaper that way.
Yeah.
I think it would be more fun.
So would you guys rather, so to me, GM, that's like up there in dream job land. But would you rather be a GM of a football or a basketball team, or would you rather be an owner?
Owner.
Yeah, I think owner is the best, right? I think owner is the best dream job.
Yeah, the pressure on the GM, you have to make or you get fired. Owner, you just sit there and you just create revenue and you figure out what to do with all that revenue.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
All right, so one of us hit the lottery and we'll have it.
Okay, I will say, so Tommy posted something the other day about Marvel. Did you know what, 13 years ago, Disney bought Marvel for $13 billion. So we were
$4 billion.
$4 billion. I was thinking about it. So right after college, I submitted my resume for an internship at Marvel and I got accepted. But they were going through bankruptcy, so I said no. I sometimes wonder, I was like, what would life have been like if I took that internship?
More so, they would have laid you off because I bet you a lot of times we're seeing the same thing with Warner Discovery. They sit there, acquire, and they are cutting everything and everyone.
No, but if you're an intern, they're not going to lay off the intern because the intern doesn't get paid. You still need bodies in there. They'll just lay off all the high-ranking officials.
Yeah. Hey, going with tight ends as well too. Jim, let me ask you a quick question. If you had a choice between Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, it's not a dynasty league. Who do you like the best out of the top tier tight ends?
I would rank them right now. If I were to pick, I would pick Kelsey, Pitts, Andrews. That's how I would pick.
Jed?
Yeah, that's pretty. I might still flip Andrews and Pitts. I might say Kelsey, Andrews, and Pitts. I love Kelsey. I think this new offense, the wide receivers there, we don't know who's going to emerge. And so I think Kelsey's going to be that safety blanket for Mahomes. And so I think his production is pretty much a lock. I think Andrews too, that connection with Lamar Jackson is just really strong. And Kyle Pitts is still a little bit of a wild card. But I will say at the end of the season, Pitts could be number one there. So his talent is right there.
I mean, for sure, a dynasty league, Pitts is number one.
Yeah. Jed, you really liked Kyle Pitts, even with Marcus Mariota, huh?
I actually like him more with Mariota. I think I think Mariota is more mobile. And so again, the tight end as a safety valve, I think is perfect. And Pitts, remember, so Pitts was one of the first rookie tight ends who instantly had double coverage as a rookie. That's insane. Like that never has happened. And so the coaches, it took them a little while to figure that out. And so I think his production is going to go up this year because they're going to know how to better scheme for him.
Yeah.
Speaking of Atlanta, Drake London still has not practiced. He got injured at the very first preseason game and still out. And so with Drake London out, there really is no wide receivers in Atlanta. You have Cordero Patterson. You have, and then you have Kyle Pitts sitting right there, and that's really
I
about
don't
it.
actually. I don't even know who the wide receivers are. Let me look.
Yeah,
After
they have a Gage, don't they?
oh
Nope,
no,
Gage is
he's
in
signed
Tampa.
somewhere else.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep,
That's right.
Gage is in Tampa. Well, hey, by the way, speaking of that, Julio Jones has done pretty well in preseason here.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything out of him, but Tampa is that's the place where the old guys go.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, I'm watching the Julio Jones here sitting there because with what do you call it? The other
Brady.
wide receiver from Mike, I forgot, blanked on his name. He might be well in the first couple weeks.
Okay, so other than Drake London, the other wide receivers, Brian Edwards used to be with the Raiders, and Zacchaeus, who last year I think led them in receiving towards the end. But that's it. I mean, Calvin Ridley, funny enough, is still on the roster, but he's suspended.
But at the same time, remember Brian Edwards from Las Vegas? I had high hopes for Brian Edwards when they drafted him.
Yeah.
All right, Jed, let me ask you. If you had a choice, it comes down to George Kittle or Darren Waller. Which one are you picking? Or you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to avoid those two and go to Dalton Schultz.
No, I've had that exact scenario. I do not like Kittle because of, well, yeah, I've been debating this. So on the one hand, I feel like he's a nice safety blanket for Trey Lance, and so he's going to get the picks. And the talent's there. But I really like the idea of Darren Waller now with Devontae Adams. They can't double coverage. And so Darren Waller is free to roam. And again, the talent is there. So I've been picking Waller pretty consistently. I've got him in both drafts. I got him because I wasn't going to go after those first. Basically, if I couldn't get Pitts, then Darren Waller is the next guy.
I actually agree with you because here's the thing is in the scheme of San Francisco, they use Kittle as a blocking tight end, right? To free up lanes, to free up the running backs, free up some of the wide receivers like Ayuk. And so what you find is that I would say, he's still going out there, but a good 30% of his time, Kittle is still blocking, whereas Waller is never used as a blocker, right? He's always going out there. So that's why for me, from a percentage standpoint, Waller's a much better target in terms of draft, and you can get him later than I think Kittle.
And we're always scared that Kittle is injury prone as well, too. Like last year, he was out for an extended period of time. And so when you need him the most, he's never there.
Yeah.
All right. We could sit there, and the next tier is Dalton Schultz and TJ Hawkinson. We could talk about that. But here's the next phase. Jim, I'll ask you. Who do you like out of this group? All right. The next tier 3 is Dalton Schultz, TJ Hawkinson, and Dawson Knox. Yeah. But after that, who would you like? Hunter Henry, Pat Freiermuth, Dallas Goedert, or Zach Ertz?
You didn't say the one that I would want, but go ahead.
Who's the one you would want?
Logan Thomas.
If we're in that third tier, Cole Kmet.
Oh yeah, Cole Kmet. That's true. Yeah. He's going pretty high actually these days.
Yeah, I'm saying third tier. I think that second tier, that Dalton Schultz. I like Dalton Schultz over Hawkinson, but I still like Hawkinson too. And you didn't.
Based off of where he's being drafted, though, I feel like Cole Kmet's getting to the second tier level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to be careful. But if he's in that third tier, I would take a Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
No, but I've seen the recent drafts. People are picking him higher than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
people love him.
That's what we're saying. That's a little bit of the problem. If he's going too high, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Did you mention Dawson Knox too?
Yeah, he's on the tier with Schultz, Dalton Schultz, as well as also TJ Hawkinson. I think, Tom, out of that group, right? Either Goddard, you've got
Zach Ertz.
Hey, we didn't mention Gesicki.
No, Gesicki. He's on a trade block. I don't think Gesicki is. I would say it would come down between Ertz and Goddard. And the reason why I was actually thinking about both, because I was looking at them, both are projected to score roughly, about the same, right? But I think I would go after a Goddard before Ertz. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah. In terms of sleepers, Jed, do you like any of these sleepers? Irv Smith, Logan Thomas, Robert Tonyan?
No. I don't like. I mean, Logan Thomas, man, we all got burned on that last year, so I'm off that train. Irv Smith, maybe, but no, I don't like any of those guys.
Yeah. Tom, you didn't say Albert O from Denver. I actually, I would choose.
Yeah, but at the same time, Russell Wilson never really did very much with the tight end, so that's why I really haven't been paying very much attention to him.
No, but remember, I can't remember who the tight end was. Oh, it was that year when that guy from New Orleans. Remember, he played for the Bears for a few years. Huh?
Oh yeah, Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham was okay.
He had so many touchdowns that year. That's why I think that's one of the reasons why they said that year. If you look at the touchdown production by Graham, you can see potentially him doing the same thing with Albert O.
Now, at the same time, I personally like Noah Fant. If Noah Fant was still on the Denver Broncos, I probably would pick them up.
He's in Seattle. No, you can't trust any of those Seattle running backs or quarterbacks.
So, all right, running backs real fast. Let's finish up as we finish up because we all have to go. Running backs, we talked about Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, all of that. It is Joe Mixon, Jim. What is your love with Joe Mixon?
Here's the thing. When you're doing these darn snake drafts, when you're doing the snake drafts, it's always coming down to Joe Mixon,
DeAndre Swift.
Swift, and then Aaron Jones, right? Because
Yep.
I'm not even looking at Saquon Barkley or any of these other guys. Out of the three of them, I trust Joe Burrow the most. I love
Joe Mixon.
Yeah. No, Joe Burrows as the quarterback.
Oh,
right?
got it.
He can spread it out, right? He can spread it out, and they need Mixon to diversify that offense and to score. So that's one of the reasons I was like, because Burrows is the quarterback and I trust him, I think he'll know how to use Mixon well. So that's why I've been going for Mixon.
I like Mixon. I mean, once he got over his kind of injury, he was a little bit injury prone when he started. Again, another OU back. That's why I like him too. But I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I think the Cincinnati offense, we just worry a little bit about hangover from, their great year last year. But if they can keep things going, and again, that's one of the best lines. Cincinnati has one of the best lines in football. So let's see. I think this is not a bad pick at all.
Yeah. Now, Jed, if you were coming on the last half of the first round, going to the second round, you have Saquon Barkley sitting there or James Conner. Who are you picking?
Ugh.
I don't think I like either of them.
I don't like either, but I would pick Barkley. I think Barkley is now low enough, right? Remember when we were talking about Barkley when he was top 3, top 5? We always never liked him because the Giants offense. But if you're getting him at the end of first round, that's probably okay. And I think the Giants are going to be better this year than they were last year. Hopefully with a little bit of progression with all the, rookies and whatnot. So I would take Barkley.
Speaking of injuries, I've also been seeing Christian McCaffrey is back in the top 3 for some people in terms of draft. And I was like, I don't know.
A lot of drafts.
I just don't trust a McCaffrey.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that headache. I mean, it's just too iffy.
Yeah.
Jim, for you, here's a scenario. Chase Edmonds is sitting there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is sitting there. Who are you picking?
Edmonds. Yeah, I'm not a big Helaire. Actually, I've been picking up Pacheco. the rookie backup, because I just am not confident in Edwards-Helaire. But I've been finding that Kansas City likes Pacheco, so I've been kind of targeting him.
Yeah, 10-team draft. Are you picking him up, Jed Pacheco?
Yeah, no, he's been one of my sleeper targets. If you get him down in that 12th, 13th, 14th round, I think he's great. But you just got to be careful. Kansas City, we know they don't really, the running backs are just not used in a traditional sense there. And so like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a perfect example. He'll have a couple good games where he picks up the goal line carry and has maybe 2 touchdowns. But as far as consistency, that's not where the ball's going.
Here's a trivia. Which Kansas City running back, former Kansas City running back, do they compare Pacheco to?
Priest Holmes.
Yes,
Priest Holmes.
Yeah,
great.
Really? Priest Holmes. They compare him to, which I was like, they love Priest Holmes.
Oh, Priest Holmes was awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Yeah. So I always think of Priest Holmes, and then do you guys remember? I think his last name was Okoye.
Christian Okoye.
Yeah, Christian Okoye. Yeah. Those two guys were such brutes. They were huge guys. They were kind of like Derrick Henry prototypes, right? Like huge guys that were fast. Yeah. And so that was
Well, that's what they say about Pacheco, right? So I was like, oh, he actually might be pretty good to consider because he's a big back, he's fast, and he fits into the offensive scheme.
Yep.
Side note, speaking of old Kansas City teams, my favorite Kansas City teams were back in the days when they had Joe Montana as their quarterback. Love those teams.
Yeah. He only played for 2 years.
Yeah, it was great. And they had the wide receiver, Lake Dawson, and they just had a wonderful team back then. All right. Jed, comes down to Josh Jacobs or Breece Hall over at the New York Jets.
Yeah, the New York Jets. I actually like Breece Hall. I'd take a chance on Breece Hall. He was someone actually I said is potential as a sleeper. Like if you're looking for that second or third running back position, he could pan out, and he had a really good preseason.
Yeah, Jim, Ezekiel Elliott is sitting there. If you're at the second round early pick, are you picking up, or you're going to wait to see if he drops in the third round?
No, I'm not even looking at him. Tony Pollard would be the person I consider, but I'm not paying attention to Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Hey, look, our offensive line is so bad over in Dallas. Remember Jason Peter, who fizzled out with the Bears? They're thinking about signing Jason Peter because that's how desperate they are for offensive line help. Yeah. Going 2 more as well, too, as we wrap up. Jim, Leonard Fournette, how high is he going in your draft?
You know what? I like Leonard Fournette. I put him in the same area as an ETN. I actually, if you gave me the choice between a Barkley, Elliott, or a Leonard Fournette, I'll choose a Leonard Fournette.
Simply because of touchdowns?
Sorry?
No, simply because of his touchdown capability, Jim?
Yeah, pretty much. But also Tom Brady likes Leonard Fournette, right?
Yes.
And so that's the other thing too, is if you look at how they use him, both on the running game as well as also in terms of receiving, there's certain players I found that when Brady likes them, he always gets them ball, right? Gronk, he did that with a number of his receivers. I think Fournette is one of his guys. And so I think he's always going to work on getting the ball to him.
Yeah, that's a good argument. That Fournette is the guy who basically, if you draft Justin Jefferson, you're probably going to end up with a Fournette, and that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah. They were doing the story on ESPN, which I thought was actually made me really convinced of Leonard Fournette. They said Tom Brady always takes care of his people, and Leonard Fournette is the last remaining person he brought in. And so they said he's going to want to take care of him.
No, you brought in Russell Gage as well, too. So that's a person that he personally reached out to.
Yeah. But they got so many receivers. Chris Godwin. Actually, did you guys see that Chris Godwin is practicing again?
He healed up quicker than we thought, so he could be a steal. He's going pretty low.
That's why I took him in my draft district, because I knew if I didn't take him, Tommy was going to take him. So I didn't want to take him that high, but I was like, I'll just do it.
Yep.
Hey, once he came to me, I'm taking both him and Hopkins as well. Sorry about that. Last one, Jed. Out of all your backup running backs, if you had a choice, Pollard, Madison, or would you even take a chance on a James Cook?
You guys know I drafted Cook, but actually of those 3, I like Tony Pollard. I mean, Tony Pollard is already in, he's guaranteed touches already in that offense. Yeah. And so you're just building off of already a timeshare, whereas Madison is more like 80-20, 70-30. And then Cook, I think, is even lower than that. He's just kind of waiting if there's an injury or something. So I think Tony Pollard for sure.
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard's a good player.
Well, we're going to wrap up here as well, too. Next week, when we come back on Wednesday, by then we should have done our keeper auction league, and so we'll have much to talk about during that time.
We'll see how we do. Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.